I think general, I have a lot going on, a lot of new awakening activity. Okay. So, David, this immediately feels like this is talking about like a 2-month period of time. This is not necessarily the week ahead for you. It's a period of transformation. It does feel transformative. It feels like you're coming out on the other side. So I don't know if it's over the last 2 months, so you're in it, or it's the next 2 months. It feels a little bit more like you're at the beginning of the journey, and so it's over the coming 2 months. Maybe you have gone through some transformation, other things in the time leading up, but it feels like we're at the beginning. Like, yeah, we're pretty early in it, like max like a week or something. Like, so it's really, really early stages of like the official marker of this new chapter for you. And so over the course of the next 2 months is how it's coming in. Um, Leaning into really overhauling, like it feels it's coming across like making big changes, taking big swings. That seems like a little there's like a risk factor to it. So the clarification here is it's not like let's do the most impulsive thing, let's do the most risky thing. It's not that encouragement. It's just recognizing where your boundaries have been, where you have previously set your comfort zone, and being hyper aware of where those lines are, and deciding sometimes that they are too close and that you could move them out, that you could step beyond them, that you could do something that gets you into a different energy mindset, allows you to meet some new people, to network, to collaborate, to build something. You said new business. I don't know status of having a website, promotional materials, marketing, things like that. But there's a piece of collaboration to do that. Because obviously there's some things that you can do by yourself, but it seems like whatever this business is, the chapter, the new venture that you're looking to go on, that it is and would be supportive to start building a circle of people that can help you, that you can go to for advice, recommendations, referrals, or delegating work out. And just say, okay, could I do this? Yes, but I'm at my bandwidth, so I'm probably not going to get to it for 3 weeks, whereas I could have somebody do it right now. So it's thinking about how you want to invest financially, but how you want to invest your time. um Sometimes it's like, I'll have this example. Could you repaint a room in your house? Oh, I want to change the color. Yes, but if you keep putting it off because you have so many things that you're doing, or like your back is hurting and you're tired, it's like maybe just pay somebody else to come in and paint the room in your house, even though you're perfectly capable of doing it. Maybe it's just you got to move the needle, you got to make progress, and it's something that's weighing on you or distracting you, preventing you from moving forward with redecorating the rest of the room in this analogy, because you have to put the paint down first. So considering where you may have pockets of opportunities where, you know what, I should just delegate, or even if it's an expense, that I could just get this done. I could get it faster. I could take the weight off so I don't have to think about that anymore. And it is important. And I do need to execute that. It's not something that's frivolous, but I can get it done. And then I can move forward with all these other things. My hands are in all these other baskets. It's like we only actually have two hands, but it's coming across like you're operating as if you have more than two hands, and you don't. So it means there's always going to be some baskets that are left unattended. And that's okay. You could just give the basket to someone else, or throw the basket out and say, this isn't working, or put it in the refrigerator, or put it in storage, or again, delegate it to someone. Just building 2 months sounds right. I need that. I'm also battling career burnout at the same time. Exactly. Okay. So then what I just said, if your hands are in too many baskets, and it's like, that is burnout. Like it's like you're juggling. It's a different metaphor, but you're juggling a lot of things. You're spinning a lot of plates, and you only have two hands. So it just keeps coming. You only have two hands. You only have two hands, and you only have one mind. And so we can only do and process and plan for and account for so many things. And sometimes if we can just take a little bit of that weight off by tabling it, by delegating it, we actually can be more productive even if it feels like we're not doing something. We're just, it's clearing some of that. It feels super, super important. And the card that we have, this is actually pretty complementary to the week ahead reading, the first reading. I would say, like, off the bat, I don't know which you felt that you related to more, but there's definitely a through line to both readings. So maybe you were someone who is a little bit more of a hybrid, but this card is last quarter moon in Scorpio. So we had last quarter Aries for the second card, and then it was Scorpio for the first card. So we kind of have a hybrid situation. Last quarter moon in Scorpio, reveal what needs to be seen. I mentioned this when we were doing the collective reading. Scorpio is a truth seeker. It wants to understand, it wants to investigate, it wants to research. It's also emotional, intuitive. So you're thinking about your burnout. If you are aware, here's where I'm at. I have to face it. I have to look. I have to allow whatever needs to come through. That could be a revelation. It could be something that you understand. It could be something that needs to be healed. What is the root cause of your career burnout? What is the real reason that you decided that you want to build a business? Are you moving toward? Are you moving away? Are you avoiding? Are you pursuing? It could be an opportunity for really deep reflection and understanding your why. That's how this is coming up. What's your why? Why are you taking these actions? Scorpio Mars ruled. Why are you making certain choices, avoiding other choices? Why are the boundaries I mentioned? Why are you taking smaller actions when you could be taking bigger ones? What's your, why do you have certain risk aversion or not? Really getting to the root, allowing all of that to come up so you can see it and understand it. And then when you have all the information in front of you, then you can determine what you need to do next, and in part what you need to let go of. That's what keeps coming up. I mentioned earlier when we were doing the collective reading, the modern ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, which is about death, rebirth, transformation, which is how I started your reading. And that means shedding. It means letting some things go. When you reveal what needs to be seen, when you're allowing everything to come to the surface, you look at all of it, you say, thank you so much. That does not serve me anymore. Getting rid of that. And that could be narratives. It could be behaviors. It could be habits. It also could be, or your routine. And it could additionally be tasks, things that you have to do. I can't do this. I don't have time. I don't have the bandwidth. It's not healthy for me. I have too much on my plate. I'm getting rid of this, or I'm giving it to somebody else. So this is happening on the emotional level, in the underbelly. This is happening in really understanding yourself. And it's the simple, direct tasks that are in front of you. How can you shed so that it can support your transformation, support your rebirth to come out on the other side? And you have to be able to face what's coming up, what you are avoiding, because it needs to be seen. It needs to be recognized, acknowledged, so that you can then do something about it. Pursuing a dream I should have acted on years ago. That's what I'm struggling with. What do I let go? Yeah. I listed a rapid fire of journal prompts off, reflection questions that you could ask. That feels like it's a really great place for you to start reflecting on your why, for like, why are you doing or not doing X, Y, and Z things? Why are you feeling or not feeling X, Y, and Z things? Going through that over and over and over again, because you're taking inventory. You need to see everything. You have to see everything that's going on, even what's beneath the surface. See the patterns. Why didn't you pursue the dream years ago? That's another great reflection. So what's coming across is when you ask yourself those questions, when you do the why, you do the self-investigation, Scorpio, the answer will be presented to you. Once you have it all laid out, you'll know, okay, well, this is my pattern. This is what I keep doing over and over again. And I keep doing that. And it's making me unhappy. It's making me stressed. It's making me sad. It's making me tired and drained. That's the thing that has to go. And this is how I will get rid of it. I'll either decide this is no longer important, this is no longer healthy, and it's gone, or this needs to be delegated to somebody else. Those are basically the 3 buckets. You keep doing it, you table it, like you put it on ice, and you could always cast out, like, I'll revisit this in X amount of time, put it in your calendar, or it's delegated. But you have to have everything. Analogy here, I just keep getting house analogies, so I don't know if this is relevant at all for you, but if you've ever seen those organizing shows, like their Clean House. Oh, I loved Clean House when that was on like forever ago. And what they would do is they would take everything and they would sort them into piles. And Marie Kondo, she has a similar system where you sort everything into areas of life. You have to get all of it out. You take all of your clothes out, all of your papers out, and you put them into the different piles. What are you keeping? What are you donating? So that was Clean House. They had that. So they had like the few different piles that you put everything in. And in here we have 3 piles. Marie Kondo, same thing. Does it spark joy? Or is it not? So you're kind of fusing the 2 of those together. You're just doing this as an inventory with your life and your tasks, your feelings, your emotions, and your understanding of your narrative arc and what you've been living through and maybe ignoring or pushing away. Work through one area of life at a time and break it down. But you have to be able to see everything first. You have to sort and categorize everything first, and then you can get rid of that donate pile. You can get rid of that delegation pile. You might think, oh, this is really important. I have to keep this. But then the more that you go through your items, in my house example, then you realize, oh, well, like I like this more. Okay, I can get rid of that other thing. So it's the exercise of comparison. Just go off of what you remember and what resonated. And then when it's up, you'll be able to circle back. And if there's anything that you missed, then you can just watch it and then adjust from there. But hopefully there was enough kind of simplified, clear instructions. You were spot on. Absolutely will do. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Looking into this job. This feels pretty introspective too. I'd be curious to know where you resonated with the collective readings for this week. But I'm immediately getting pushback, similar to with David, around like, is that the question you should be asking yourself? Because you said, my question is, should I take this job? And I just immediately got a counter question of like, is that the real question? Not like, is that the real question to be asking me? But is that the real question that you should be wondering to understand whether you should take the job? Hopefully that makes sense. So, because you could just have, should I take this job? Yes, no. But there's a why. There's always a reason why you take the job. So it seems like the counter question that's coming in is, and this can help you to answer that question if you should take it or not, is specifically what it's doing for you. And self-care is coming in right away. Like, is it a balanced schedule? Is it allowing you to feel safe and grounded so you can do the things that you need to do? This job symbolizes some amount of security for me. Yeah, perfectly. So if getting this job, okay, this is coming across like, but are you projecting onto the job? There's some sort of potentially a disconnect between like what you're projecting, like what you think things are versus what they actually are. This is just the pushback. This is a challenge for you. It's a thought exercise for you to think about. So is the job actually giving you security? How are you framing? How are you defining what security is? Is it because I'm going to have a higher paycheck? I'm going to have a steady paycheck? Is it that there's job security because it's very much in demand, that there's some sort of an inherent or baked in tenure to it, that I don't expect that I'll want to leave anytime soon? I don't know what number I'm on, but like, how are you, of those categories or maybe others, how are you determining that this job represents security? You can share or just think about it as I'm talking. How is it that you have determined that it is representing security for you? Then the next question is, similar to David, why? Why is it that you believe that? Because it's kind of like, is that true? Fair, that might be true. Steady paycheck, and I'd be able to pursue building my dream job on the side. Okay, that's very important. So if you're saying, okay, I want this to help fund with my retirement, pay my basic expenses, but what you said there is you want to be able to build the dream job, which also means that's what I started with, the self-care, the work-life balance kind of a deal. If it takes up too much of your energy when you get home or you close your laptop at the end of the day, if you are depleted, you won't have the energy to build your dream job on the side. So that is actually number one in answering your question. Should you take the job? Because the deal breakers for you actually are steady paycheck and time, and kind of related to that, bandwidth, time and bandwidth. So are you drained? Will you be drained at the end of the day? Will you be able to maintain healthy boundaries with this job? Will you feel lit up by it during the day and like not hate it? So then when you get home, you're in a bad mood. Um, there's something about like the difference between when you're on the clock versus when you're off the clock. And what's so important if you want to work on this dream job is that you have time, you have energy, you have motivation, passion, and that you can connect to flow. So if you, as an example, you work long hours for this job, for the steady paycheck. But then at the end of the day, or by the time you hit the weekend, maybe you're only working on the dream job over the weekend, let's just say. You only work on it over the weekend. Um, did it take up so much of your time and energy, but then you have other things you have to do? You have chores, you have all this other stuff. Then, like, do you even have the time and the bandwidth? Like, then maybe the weekend comes and goes, and you're like, oh, another weekend I didn't get to work on my dream job. And that's setting yourself up for this pattern of just not being able to get out of actually building the momentum. It's getting the rock to go down the hill, and then it picks up things along the way, and it gets bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden you have a big boulder, and that becomes a dream job, and now it's secure enough. So all of those factors have to be considered in deciding, if I'm really being honest with myself, will this job allow me to do that? And if you're not sure, then maybe it means that you have to go back to the people that you interviewed with and ask them a couple additional questions, because you want to be clear. Like, what really are the expectations of my time? Is it a successful, smooth onboarding process? Because what if it causes chaos or like it stresses you out? Like, there's all of these different variables and things that you are being asked to consider. Because what we don't want to have happen is that you're just like thrown off the track, because with any job, with any transition, you go into a new job, you have a little bit of an adjustment period. But if this is one that it's not just about the onboarding, it's not just about the adjustment, it ends up being that you have to commit a lot of hours, that it's draining, that it's tiring, that it's frustrating. You're just annoyed with everybody that you have to work with, or the clients or students, whoever it is that you're helping, that you just like, oh, you hate going to work, and not in a way that helps you, because you're like, oh, but I love my dream job stuff. Like, we really want to be in a situation where we're at least neutral. Like, it's coming across like it's better that you're getting the steady paycheck and you're like, this job is fine. I don't hate it. It's not my favorite thing. I just clock in, I clock out, I do what I have to do. I'm not at my wit's end. I'm not burnt out. And now I have all these reserves and I can focus on my passion. If it's doing anything less than that, if it's tilting towards the negative, it means it's slowly or rapidly, depending on how extreme it is, pulling from your reserves. And every time you have a deduction each week of it's drawing more and more of your energy, more and more of your patience, tolerance, time, it's deducting from that column of life where you want to put in more, you want to have the positive, you want to build. And depending on the phase that you're in building the dream job, if it's a business, like what David was talking about, then at different phases of the business as you're setting it up, it's going to require more or less input and hours. And you want to make sure you have the bandwidth for it. And that that doesn't feel like work too. You don't want that to get soured, because now your day job is soured. And then you're like not in the best mood, but you're like, but now I have to work on my dream job. And then now the dream job feels negative. It feels less inspired, like, oh, I'm so excited, I'm so passionate about it. Then it's soiling it and spoiling it. And we don't want that either. I'm just going to pause because I know I just went on for a long period of time. Yes, I think I'm stuck in a cycle. It feels like if I don't take something, then I'm unable to cycle through my energy. Okay. Oftentimes being with people energizes me. I was on a path like that, but then I was thrown off the track. Okay. So it seems like you're picking up what I'm putting down here. So again, this is all a thought exercise. How do we really understand what matters? And for you, these are the three things that matter. Steady paycheck, that you have time, and then you have the bandwidth for the other things that you want to do in your life. And you want to ensure that any job that you take is meeting those needs and ensuring that you feel still lit up, still inspired, that it doesn't taint this idea of the dream job into becoming an obligation. If nothing new presents itself and all that's happened is that you just kind of neutralize about the regular job, and then you also do that with the dream job and everything's just kind of like blah, then that means we've lost a little bit of the plot, because we always want to have something that keeps us going, something that inspires and motivates us to go forward. The card that we have here, full moon in Cancer, let your fears dissolve. I think this is a beautiful complement to what we've been discussing. All of those why questions and things I was asking you at the top, thinking about security, perfect for Cancer, because Cancer is represented by the crab. It's a soft, gooey center. It's caring, it's compassionate, it's the caretaker, it's intuitive. It carries ancestry, wisdom, but it has the hard shell because there's concern around that soft, gooey center being hurt, being damaged, being let down, being disappointed. There's a need for setting up boundaries. I mentioned self-care before. Number one thing for anybody with strong Cancer placements is we tend to have an issue with our self-care because we are helping other people. We're doing for other people. We're doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing. And then we are neglecting ourselves. So if any of the above is resonating, it's folding together within this card. Let your fears dissolve. That is a recognition of that security piece. Why is it that you think you want to take this job or this other job? Do you have any fears come up? Do you have fears? Is it a lack mindset where you have fears around security and what security means to you? I think that was the first question I asked. Like, what do you mean by security? So if you have fears around not being secure and what that's going to do to you, to harm you or let you down, etc. Similar to what we're talking about with all the Scorpio stuff, you have to see it and then say, okay, how can I trust the process? How can I trust my gut? How can I trust my intuition? Cancer, very intuitive. How can I trust my intuition? How can I be brave? Let some of those fears dissolve and just move forward. It's a cardinal sign. We'll take some action and we'll trust that we can readjust if it's not working. But we just have to maintain the through line to ourselves. So if you go in and say, I know that this job or any other job opportunity, it needs to be a job that also wants to take care of me, Cancer, so that I can do the work that I want to do, contribute, but that I can be taken care of financially through my time, through my boundaries, my bandwidth, so that I can do the things that will light me up, make me feel happy, to help me in the long term. Currently stuck between feeling isolated and trying to move forward. I would be building my dream job and I know what I want it to look like. It's just I don't have the funds anymore to really start it. Yeah, those are the red flags. I liked the people that I interviewed with, but trying to make sure if I'm making an intentional choice. Yes. Just want my energy to get cycled through again. So I know you've said that a few times. So what do you mean by your energy to get cycled through? That you want to have an energetic release, that you want to have a cycle of giving and receiving and have a return, like what we're talking about with reading number 2, that there's abundance, that you want to achieve something, have something come your way, that you want to have cycled through as an energetic balance. So yeah, I don't want my boundaries to get crossed again. Exactly. A lot of little things that could be tweaked here. And that's why I think it's so funny, because your question on face was like, should I take this job? And then we veered into like 20 other things because they are the foundation. Cancer, it is the foundation. It is the ancestry. It is the history. It holds everything. So there's so much more than just yes, no, should I take this job? Step one is thinking about making sure that you've asked the right questions, making sure that this job meets some of these basic requirements, and then separately, all of this other reflection and looking back at what do I have for my boundaries? What do I have for my self-care? Why are these things in place or not in place? What am I doing that's throwing me off balance, that's not allowing me to protect my personal power, allowing me to hear my intuition when I know something is wrong? Those are kind of the steps and phases here. I want to make sure that I'm moving in a safe way forward. I just said no to my intuition connection once, and it caused an energetic block that caused a lot of problems I'm currently facing. Yeah, we got to listen to the intuition. Well, hopefully this was helpful. I know there was like so much in here, but yeah, I always think it's so funny because sometimes the individual sometimes the individual readings very much relate to each other. And I think, Jaya, that you and David had some of an intersection and an overlap. They had different instructions or recommendations, suggested practices that came along with them, but there definitely was a through line between the two of them about the balance, the boundaries, and what you are doing. Specifically in your career, that was the other obvious overlap between the two of them. Thank you. This has been super helpful. I've been really thinking about this. I've known how to create those boundaries, but the energetic block shifted a lot for me. Yep. I feel you. Sending all the big hugs. And remember to hug yourself. That's what's coming in. Like give yourself like some credit. Like you've done some work. It's not that you're just floating in the abyss. Like reading number 2, it's like acknowledge what you have put in and what you have gotten out of it. And it's okay. We're all living and growing and evolving. And I know that whatever is that Thomas Edison quote of like, how many times you fail, but then there's one time that you got it right. Like how many times you made the light bulb and none of those prototypes worked. It's the same idea. Like we're always a work in progress. We're always adjusting, and there is no finish line, because then once he makes the light bulb, well, then now you can make a different kind of light bulb and a different size light bulb. And it's like, there's always that next up level that we can have. So we just have to give ourselves a little grace and patience, and sometimes not just be so hard on ourselves.